Yo, what is up guys? And today we're going to be talking about how to build the unit that you see on your screen here, Milim. Now Milim is currently running in the rotation with the Slime collab, and she'll be running until the 18th of May. So if you guys haven't pulled for her yet, definitely pull for her. She's a very strong PvP unit, and her design is amazing. If you guys don't know what her skills do, let's actually talk about that very quickly so you guys can understand why she is so good in PvP. Her S3 is a single target attack that will acquire 2 focus, so she has a focus system, and it's also going to inflict extinction when the enemy is defeated, and when an enemy is extinct, they cannot be revived. This will also increase her evasion for 3 turns, and this will ignore damage sharing effects when you're using it in PvP. This is very strong because after you can one-shot a unit with her S3 and prevent them from being revived, which makes her very good against like Arbiter Vildrids, anything that has a revive on the enemy side, she also gets an evasion buff, which will make her decently tanky if you get lucky and get some dodges off. Next, we have her S2, Dragon Eye. At the start of battle and at the end of her turn, she'll have a 100% chance to grant herself Dragon Eye, which cannot be dispelled, which will increase her hit chance and evasion by 20%. So on top of this 50% evasion, she gets another 20% from her Dragon Eye, which makes her very hard to kill and very hard to hit, similar to Remnant Violet. And also, when the caster is granted this buff, at the start of the turn, she'll dispel stealth from all enemies, and this will ignore effect resist. Now, this is a very powerful tool because against artifacts such as like Guiding Light, especially against like Landies or just anything that abuses Guiding Light and isn't super fast, you can actually use Milim to dispel that stealth and actually just one-shot them with your S3. Her secondary effect is going to be when her focus is full after attacking with either her S1 or S3, she will attack AoE and remove 10 souls from the enemy. This hits super hard as well. So playing for that 5 focus win con is very good on Milim. And you can see her S3 will give her 2 focus, and her S1, which we'll talk about now, will also give her 1 focus. This is a single target attack that will give her attack buff and also heal her depending on the damage that she deals. You can also see you can soul burn this to actually grant yourself an extra turn. So what you can actually do is actually, chain her S1 into like another S3, or even just S1 into S1 later on and get that S2 off, which will do a lot of damage and prevent the enemy from using their souls on the next turn. Now she also has exclusive equipment, which will be available starting from the 2nd week of the event. Currently we don't have access to this right now because the event is locked in the 2nd part, but once you unlock that 2nd part, you can actually use this exclusive equipment. It'll give her critical hit chance, which will make her a lot easier to build. This is one of the best exclusive equipment's main stats in the game besides speed. You're also going to see that it can buff all of her skills. You can either get increased healing from her S1, you can get increased damage on her S2, or also when you defeat an enemy with your S3, you get an additional 1 focus. Now I personally think that her S3 will be very good on her, especially for the exclusive equipment, because you S3, you get 3 focus, right? Because her base will give her 2, with the exclusive equipment, it'll give you 3. Then on the next turn, if you have Toghal's Ancient Book on her, or another way to get souls, you can just double S1 with the soul burn, and actually, proc the S2 right away because you'll be at 5 focus. Very powerful exclusive equipment for her. Critical hit chance is very nice. I think this S3 exclusive equipment will make her a lot better than she currently already is. Now for her stats, guys. So for the set, I would recommend running her on speed set for sure because you want her to be decently fast. You want her to be faster than Landies because of the fact that she's primarily used as a Landy counter, because Landies are always on Guiding Light for the most part, and just preventing that stealth will make it so you can actually one-shot. And also for the secondary set, guys, you want to run her on penetration set because her S1 and S3 hit super hard, and with penetration set, it'll hit even harder. Now, I have her on critical hit set because I don't have a spare penetration set, but this works as well if you guys don't have access to good penetration sets. But in general, penetration sets will be better than critical hit chance sets, even if it doesn't show up on the stat meter, because of the fact that penetrating defense is super powerful in this game, and it's very good on single target hitting units, which Milim is very good at. It won't benefit your S2, but to be honest, like her S3 and S1 will be the bulk of your damage, and you'll probably know if you're going to win the fight or not before S2 activates. Her S2 is just a nice cleanup ability. For general stat guidelines, guys, like I said, you want her to be decently fast. Anywhere between 220 and 240 speed is okay. Everything else you want to put into damage. Now, some people like to put her on a bruiser build with like counter set instead of speed set, which can work, but I personally find that the speed set build is better for the most part. But if you want to run her in counter set, you can drop some of the damage here and put it into bulk. If you're running her on the speed set like I have here, you want to aim for at least 3,500 attack, ideally 4k, 100% crit chance, and then 250% plus critical hit damage, and then other stats don't really matter. You just need attack, speed, critical hit chance, and critical damage. If you're running her on the counter attack next set, the counter set, then you actually want to run her a lot more bulky, around like 14k HP, defense like 1300. I'd say mages have very high base defense, so it shouldn't be too hard. For attack, 3k, and critical hit chance 100%, and critical hit damage also at 250%. You might also want some effect resist if you're on that bruiser build to prevent her evasion from getting stripped, to make her a lot more tankier, but that is very hard to do, especially on penetration set, because of how the stats work out. You don't get a lot of rolls, so you might want to, try to drop the effect resist, but it might be easier now with this exclusive equipment coming out. Those are the stats you're looking for, guys. What about her skill enhances? So for skill enhances, guys, definitely want to max out everything. I don't have enough catalysts, and I don't really plan to max her out because I don't use her that often. But for people who like using her a lot because she is very good, you definitely want to max her out because she's a damage dealing bruiser type unit. And mostly for every damage dealing unit, you just want, basically everything, because it'll just increase her damage overall. For artifact, guys, I definitely will recommend her on Symbol of Unity. It is one of her best artifacts. It'll make her very, very powerful because that hit chance will also make it so you can hit like violets and anything with evasion. If you're on the bruiser build, some people like to run her on like Proof of Valor, which is also decent as well, which will make her a lot more bulkier. Now, to be honest, guys, I think this unit is pretty decent, right? Like I said, she's very good against stealth units because her S2 dispels stealth. One of the best counters to Landy at the current moment, who's pretty decent in PvP still, I'd say. And overall, she's also good against evasion units if you can actually run her on Symbol of Unity, because she actually nukes super, super hard. And she also gets hit chance from her passive as well, Dragon Eye. So you get 40% hit chance, which will make it so that if you're against like a green violet, for example, who has 55% chance to dodge, it'll actually be reduced to 15%, which is very, very good. She's a very good answer to evasion units. There is still RNG involved, but for the most part, she's pretty consistent against those units, I'd say. Now for memory imprint, guys, is it very important? Her release is pretty useless. Dual attack chance, not very good. But her imprint concentration is very nice because it gives her attack, which isn't the best, but as a mage, mages have very, very high base attack, making it so that you get a lot of benefit out of this one. For units that pair well with her, basically anything that can CR push her and give her attack buff, because her S3 doesn't give her attack buff, right? Her S1 does after you do the damage. Amelia is very good. You give attack buff and 50% CR push, which is very, very good. You can also use like even like DN because she can S3 to attack buff, also make her more tankier with that critical hit resistance buff, and she can also even, CR push with her S2 as well if she wanted. Basically anything that can push her up and protect her, especially if you run her on the speedy build, because you want her to go very quickly and actually, one-shot something very, very quick. This unit, very, very fun to play. Definitely recommend getting her. She's super strong, especially in PvP, and a nice unit to have in your arsenal, which is why I have her built. She's very good against Landies and just anything that has evasion, so pretty premier pick against those units. That being said, I hope this video helped you guys out, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.